Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling. I am turned up for another interview. It's that time. It's that time for another interview. I have a wonderful special guest today from out of Rwanda, Africa. Woo, 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 woo. This is Hicunni Chandler with me. And if you remember, or if you don't, go back and see her first interview that I had with her. It was episode 26 from season 1, and she laid it down in that interview. And now we're coming with a different angle because she is out of the country world schooling these past 3 months. And so we're going to get some insights from her. But before we get started, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this platform and why even have this platform. So this is Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry, and that's me. This platform is to give voice to those of the African diasporic homeschooling community, to say hashtag we homeschool too. And we are getting it done. Our kids are thriving. There is an influx of more and more of those of the African diaspora who are homeschooling, which is just a good warm spot to my heart. This is what I desire to see: millions of homeschoolers rising up from this African diaspora. So in addition to that, this platform, as I said, is to give voice to those who are homeschooling, and also to encourage you who are considering homeschooling to identify with one of the interviewees, to say, oh, if she can do it, then I can do it, or find out their best practices and just glean so that you can move forward in this homeschooling journey, knowing that if you are a single parent, if you 2 parents working, 1 parent working, however that dynamic may be for your home, that you can do it. It can be done. It's just limited by your own creativity and your tenacity to make it happen. Okay, so I am a homeschool mom of 19 years to 8 children, 3 of whom have already graduated. 5, I'm still homeschooling, so I'm in the thick of it. And my hands are reached out, and basically my purpose-driven life is to make a positive impact on thousands of homeschoolers worldwide. So my outreach is to all things homeschooling. And so I'll tell you more about that later in the show, but that's enough about me. Now is the time to introduce Hicunni. Hicunni, are you ready to make it happen?
I am ready.
Yes, let me tell you a little bit about Hicunni. Hicunni, as a wife and homeschooling mom of 2, for over a decade, she has been helping people with their challenges like food allergies, weight loss, body image, meal planning, just to name a few. Her sister has coined Hicunni with the term Google because she became the go-to for the latest food research and good eats. Even though Hicunni is a foodie at heart, and being on her journey of self-love and embracing her most authentic self, she began to encourage women to step out, look within, and discover what truly makes them happy. Now, as a mind-body eating coach, Hicunni helps women learn how to transform beliefs about food and body so that they can find freedom with food, be themselves, and take their business to the next level. I like that. So only you, Hicunni says, only you can change, only you can be the change that you want to see. And as she shared what a call a foodie chronicle, I'm butchering that up, her personal journey of self-love and travel, she invites you to go along as she serves you and choose to embrace who you are meant to be. So her question for you is, what are you waiting for? All right. So that's a little bit about her and what she does and her outreach to the community. But right now we're going to ask Hicunni some in-depth questions about homeschooling and life and homeschooling in Rwanda. And then Hicunni, I'm going to give you the opportunity to share more about your nutrition formula. Okay. All right. So Hicunni, will you please tell us how you got started in homeschooling and what is it like? Okay, first tell us how you got started in the homeschooling, and if there's anything else you want to share with us as well about yourself.
Okay, so you want me to go all the way back and then come up to how we got here in Rwanda?
Yes.
Okay, so I started homeschooling because of my husband. he thought it was a good idea. It wasn't my idea, but he got me on board, just introducing me to someone in the community. We first started with classical conversations back when my son was 4 years old. And so we started with that. And when we first started, before we even took that leap, we both had to come to an agreement. Okay, this is something we're going to do. And we prayed about it. And we felt that that was what we were supposed to do. Well, the first year was very hard. I cried a lot the first year. I didn't think that I could do it. My personality has always been kind of more rigid and type A. I have a background in accounting and management, so I'm just used to just doing things a certain way. But then I flipped the script on my brain because I'm like, okay, this is my schedule. I have my own schedule. I can plan it the way I want to plan it. And so we continued our journey on with him and then with my daughter as she came up as well. And so this is our 9th year of homeschooling. It has had some little hiccups along the way. We found out that my son had an auditory processing disorder, but it was not the end. We learned how to actually help and maneuver him through that situation and also be able to help others in our homeschooling community as well. And so with that, whatever they told him on that paper, we knew that it wasn't going to be the final authority. And so I'm proud to say he's 13 and he's thriving. He still has a long way to go, but with my assistance, with my husband's assistance, he's been able to thrive and read, and he's writing book reports, long book reports. So he's doing a lot of things that maybe people thought he could not do on paper. And so how we got here is interesting in itself. My husband is a new full-time entrepreneur. And so he quit his job back in March of this year.
Tell him again, so, where's here? Tell us again, where's here?
Oh, here is Kigali, Rwanda. Kigali, Rwanda. Rwanda is in the continent of Africa. Many people don't know that. When you say, where's Rwanda? Rwanda, you know, people don't know. But it's the Central Eastern country, one of 54, 55 countries in the continent of Africa. And so we're in Rwanda, and the actual capital is Kigali. Within Kigali, there's all these different sales sectors, the way they have it broken down, but it's all kind of the same format when you're in, say, the state of South Carolina, and you have all the different cities and then the different counties. It's something along that line. But we've been here for over 3 months. My husband, right after he quit his job, he started working in his own social media agency. Another opportunity presented itself. And so he harped on that. And I'll say that because he harped on that because when you're an entrepreneur and if you work online, you can work anywhere in the world. And so your location is not limited to where you are. And so that opportunity presented itself. We weighed a lot of options, making sure the money was there. Of course, you want to make sure that. And so we, of course, my husband, my 2 kids, we hopped on the plane, transitioned here. It took almost 24 hours to get to Rwanda. And so we've been here ever since. It's been an awesome journey, just the perspective of being a business owner myself, my part-time practice, being able to still build from here. And also my husband continually building his current practice and then the practice that he, joined in here in Rwanda. So it's been an awesome opportunity and all in the thick of it, homeschooling.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting journey.
So tell us, how has it been greatly different homeschooling there in Kigali than you would say in the States? Has there been similarities, great differences?
That's a good question. Okay, so when we first got here, I wanted to explore first. But of course, being a homeschooler, school should be an exploration. So still I'm talking to these structured moms because I am a little structured mom too. So you're always thinking, okay, how can I make this part of the curriculum? So at first I really didn't do that. We just didn't do any type of school. They did keep up with some reading and they did occasional math, but it wasn't anything that I would consider structured for my brain.
Okay.
And so I just allowed them time to explore, to learn a few words. We didn't learn as much as we probably could have. Kinyarwanda, that's the main language spoken here. Now, officially the main language, it was French, but President Kagame, he changed it, and now Kinyarwanda is the actual main language that they're going to focus on. Paul Kagame is the actual president of Rwanda. And so I just allowed them time to explore. And then officially in July, we started back. So in similarity, we continued with our online program, which is Time for Learning, but usually we add other resources as well. We tried that the first week. It was just too much. Too much. And I think just being in a different location, I mean, if you're surrounded by beautiful mountains, the sun, you can get some good vitamin D, it's kind of hard trying to stay indoors.
Right.
So we tried that the first week and it did not work. So we continued with the online, but we still got outside and tried to, converse with the locals, which that was interesting. But just, I wanted them to have a real cultural experience. Even though they looked like a lot of the locals, there still was a difference because of our accent, the language barriers, and just the way we were brought up. We were brought up a lot differently than a lot of people here. And so I wanted them to get the full shebang. So it was challenging at first, just trying to get our rhythm, because I still want to have that homeschool structure. But when I let go, then we actually started enjoying ourselves throughout the homeschooling journey, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm curious, just you said that doing the Time for Learning was just too much. Was it just taking up too much of your time, or that's just where your focus was not at? I mean, what do you mean by that structured type of schooling was just too much for where you all were?
Yeah. So we were doing the Time for Learning, and I didn't say this. So, and I should let y'all take a sneak peek of my suitcases. I brought a lot of books with me. So I didn't know what to expect, So I brought all my little books. I had not all of them, but I brought quite a few. So I brought my books, and then their main books and Time for Learning. So I was trying to do the main books with them and the Time for Learning, and it was just too much. Okay. So I dropped the books, and then we focused on like the main things like math and language arts. And we tried to add a little science and social studies in Time for Learning. That was too much. So then I created a little project for them, and I gave them some questions, and that it all had to do with things going on here in Rwanda. So that I made Rwanda their cultural, social studies and science experience. That way they could get some real life hands-on learning, not just going through the books,
Right.
So when I added that, it made it a lot easier.
Got it. I got it. So there's two questions. One, when people are considering going, they want a world school. This is what they want to do. They always want to know, how do you afford that? How can you do that? And so you spoke to that a little bit, finding these online jobs. So if you have any other suggestions that you can give someone who's considering world schooling in preparation for that, if you would, speak to that, especially if they want to homeschool abroad, speak to that. And then I come back with the other questions. Is there any other insights that you can give someone that, okay, they want world school? These are things you need to consider and think about as you prepare for that, prepare for that, I can get it out, prepare for that journey.
Yeah. So the first thing is the mindset. One thing you need to get your mind right to be able to, and just open up your mind, because world schooling is not just going abroad. World schooling is just having a more world view, knowing that their education is not contained in that textbook, that there's so much out here. There's so much history right in your back door. There's so much history in your town. Like I was researching where I grew up. There's so much history about like how the slaves got into South Carolina from where it was Barbados and all this. So I researched some of that stuff, just how they got into South Carolina, then trying to figure out how they get to my actual town. So even adding things like that, that is part of world schooling, because of course people of the diaspora, they came from different parts of Africa. So learning how to dig deeper and find out, okay, so how did that trail begin? If you can find more information about how that trail began, how did they get to your, city or your state, that's part of world schooling. And now as far as picking up and moving your family across country, number one, you need some money. That's one thing. And so if people, they want to do all these things, but they don't break it down, you may have to make some sacrifices to mainly your flights, because flights fluctuate throughout the year. So depending on when you actually leave, you need to find out when is the best time to book your flight. That's going to be the most expensive thing. When you get to that country, before you even get to that country, you need to research how much is the cost of living. Like here in Rwanda, it's very low. So you can eat a lot for a little bit of money. So the biggest concern, say if you want to come to Rwanda, is your flights. Finding out the best time to get your flights. And so how you can prepare for that is start cutting things out of your life. Like, do you need all those extra like clothes? And you may love clothes. Like I like shoes, but I gave away a lot of stuff. I sold some shoes, I sold some clothes, I sold some purses, just so we can have some extra spending money. So you may want to have like a yard sale, or you may want to do eBay, or you may want to pick up like a few more hours on your job, or you may want to do, like I heard someone talk about on another interview you did about the outschooling, the online school. Some of the homeschool moms may want to do that and bring some income into more income to their household. So there's other little things that you can do. It's going to your time is going to be sacrificed. And of course, your money is always affected. So those are two things, time and money, that we want more of. So those are the two things we need to sacrifice. We need to learn how to create more income. We need to learn how to carve out the time in the day. I mean, you can't get around that. It has to be a priority if that's something that you want to do with your life.
Right. That's beautiful. Well said. Well said. And I like the idea that you mentioned about your mindset. Get your mind straight. Get your mindset. I think also you can probably add to that list is your length of stay. Have that in your brain. If this is long-term, is it short-term world schooling, 3 months or whatever the case may be, have a game plan. Just don't we're going to go world schooling and don't have an agenda, because that sounds glamorous until you get there and you really have to live it. You feel like for world schoolers, now granted, each state has their own laws and that things that they still regulate, and that even as you go out of country, you're still regulated under that state law. It's particularly if you still have a address residency where you are. So this may change depending on where you are, but I know Hicunni's in South Carolina and homeschooling under this district. But do you think when you're world schooling, going abroad to a different country, that the priority really should switch for a time where it's not so book focused? Like you mentioned, you had to put down the books and put down time for learning, and really just spend some time just learning about where you are, and then maybe ease in those other studies. I mean, what do you feel like is, how can you speak to that?
I think one thing too, I was on a mastermind with you last week, and that really put things in perspective about, and just depending on your state, but your homeschool is going to look differently, and you don't have to do stuff like different subjects a certain way. Yeah, there's some main subjects that you need to have, but who told you had to sit there for an hour and do language arts? Well, who told you had to carve out math drills for like 30 minutes? We get so rigid in our thinking that we have to do things a certain way. Right. But when we do it again, because we will be going other places, I want to spend a lot of time just not even thinking about cracking open a book or cracking open that whatever time for learning or whatever online, if you do Khan Academy, whatever, and just relax into everything that we're doing. Not saying, oh, we got to make sure we get this schooling in at this time, but relax more into doing what you do. like we spent a lot of time like downtown, just looking at different shops, eating, of course, just observing the people, looking at the people. How are they living their daily life? We were very blessed where we were living. The first location where we were, it was nice. It was a nice housing environment, but there were also villages close by, like right out the back door. So we got to see both sides, how people live their day and how they worked from the time it was light at 5:55 until the sun set. And just those type things you can't get back. But you're teaching your kids how to hustle. You're teaching what it means to actually work to make sure your family eats, to make sure your family's taken care of, how people interact with each other. Like we would see, and was really common, you don't see a lot in the US, like older guys or older girls, their friends, they may have their arm around each other, like a group of girls, just their arms around each other, or a group of guys just walking, just hanging and laughing. You don't see that in the US. Just watching how they interact, just watching how one lady that we have befriended, and we call her Mama P. And so she says, like, after work, they go over each other's house and just check in on each other. I mean, when your kids see things like that, they're learning how to be a good friend. They're learning how that it's cool. You know, you can check in on that person. Of course, if that person allows you to come over their house, you know, because I was sharing with my mama. She was like, you better call first. But you just learn different cultures, just how they commune with each other and how they build community with each other. Those are some skills that are priceless. And those are some skills that kids need as part of their homeschooling journey. So I highly recommend that you immerse yourself in the culture, even if it seems awkward, but just get to know some of the locals, get to know how they interact with each other as well.
I completely agree, because I think it's, again, this terminology, world schooling, is so glamorous, but it is very easy to become that American who goes into a different country and continue to live your American way. If you know what I'm saying, you don't embrace the culture, you don't step into the culture, you look maybe at disdain or look down at that culture. And I just want to encourage anyone who is considered world schooling, and maybe you can speak to this too, I haven't really gave much thought to it, how to be open, just to open yourself up to that. Because I lived in Spain for 3 years, and we were totally immersed in that culture. But I will say, at the beginning, I was just looking at them like, I came over with this American attitude. We do it better this way. We do this better this way. We don't do it. And I remember having that attitude, and I don't know what shook me. Like, girl, get beyond yourself. Right. I was a Black American who just thought, oh, we don't do it that way, And then I have lived in Central America before, and in Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador. And by that time, I had a whole different perspective when I saw, poverty or people who cook however, it was just so different. So do you have any thoughts to help people to step out of that? Because even though we're Black, and we may say we do have some level of oppression here in this state, and all the things that we go through as Africans in this state, in this country, we can't easily step into another country and be high and mighty. Is that how you say it? How did you all do that? How was the transition so easy for you to go into that country and be willing to step into the culture? What was the mindset? What was the click? What was the tearing down, or even helping your kids not to think that way?
I think one thing was just getting out when we just started walking different places. I know Rwanda is considered one of the safest countries, like even safer than the US. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of helped calm my nerves, even though I didn't go out like late at night walking by myself. Sure. I still use wisdom. But it kind of, you researching the country before, just to see how things are, the dynamics are.
Mm-hmm.
I know we just started walking throughout the area, walking throughout the village, and like just smiling at people. I learned just basic greetings. So then they would say, I'm a Kuru. That means, how are you? Maneza, I'm fine. And just started. And even though I could not speak, I still can't speak the language really. I know a few words, but I would go up to people, excuse me, and then I'll say, I'm a Kuru, and I'll just look at them, and then I'll point. If they have a kid, point, and I'll smile, and they'll smile. Just try to use body language. People can tell if you're like scared of them or you think they're yucky, people can tell by your body language. So I'll just go up to them and just like, wave at the little baby or, point to their hat or something, and I'll like smile and they smile. So I just try to interact, even though I couldn't speak the language, just interacting with them. Didn't make it feel like I was too good to get dirty, if that makes sense. I saw a lot of dirty children because they, and I found somebody to translate. A lot of times they look dirty, and some are in real poverty, but there are a lot that may look dirty that have clean clothes. But if they're working all the time, if they're not in school and if they're working, why put on clean clothes and they're going to get dirty?
Yeah.
A lot of kids too, they were dirty because they were actually working. And I know this one little girl, I would see her all the time, and I would wave to her and she would come up to me and she would just look at me, and I would just try to talk to her, and then I point to her and we'll smile, and then I wave. So just learn how to use your body language to convey that you're friendly.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes the load off of a lot of people because they already have the stigma of Americans, and Black Americans too, that we're like wild or we're different. But if you present yourself as someone friendly and you smile, it says a lot. So we did a lot of smiling, a lot of kind of pointing, and then just, I don't know how I figured it out, just with body language. Sometimes I would tell Mike, my husband, like, he has like 3 girls, and because sometimes people knew a few words, like they had family or daughter. And like, I would find out stuff about people. And it's like, how did you find that out? I was like, I don't know, just, I was like, I'm having a conversation. I don't even know what they were saying. But just, you never know unless you open up that door. That's, long story short, you never know unless you open the door and you can have a conversation with them. You can open up release some of the stigma that Blacks and Africans often have sometimes. Even going in the city, when you greet someone, you say hello. A lot of times a lot of them speak English within the actual city as well. So just being polite. A smile goes a long way. Yeah. And just, you prepare your kids. And I can say this, my kids are a little different because they accept a lot of people. That's just the way they're wired. They don't have any like misconceptions like, oh, I'm better. They have a chill personality. They'll welcome people. And if it's somebody that they know that they should stay away from, they can pick those things up that, okay, I don't need to deal with that person because, they're rubbing me the wrong way. So it's all about training your kids now of being able to pick up things like that, to be sensitive to the energy that people give off too. That helps. I hope I answered your question. Okay.
No, you did. That was good. That was good. So I have one more question before we go to the end of our show. And this one is, are there any drawbacks from Worldschooling that you found? Anything that you can share that just haven't, been so glamorous?
Drawbacks. I would say for Worldschooling, you need time in the country. And I mentioned that to you earlier. You need to have some time. If you do have a time frame, I would say plan ahead. Like we knew we would be here between 3 to 6 months. But as far as even thinking about when I first arrived here, thinking about being in that mindset of Worldschooling, I probably would have planned a little bit, but not, if that makes sense. So knowing we were going to be here 3 months, maybe I would have did more excursions just so they can see some other things around Rwanda. We did go on a safari, and we got to go to the genocide, and that was just horrible, horrible, but it was good for them to see. But one drawback would be, if you decide to world school, plan ahead as far as planning what is your itinerary for actually going there. What's your purpose? I mean, we had a different purpose. Our purpose really was to go to work, and it was just world schooling was just actually added to that. But you need to have a plan as far as what is your purpose for going to that country. Do you want them to actually learn the language? Do you want them to learn just how to function maybe for the future? Like, what is your goal into going into that country? And two, one drawback is, even though the cost of living is low, financially, I would have planned better, just because I want to do more things, and it costs money, and I still had to work. So I did have to have some type of schedule for them, because I had this window of time that I actually had to work. And so you need to figure all that stuff and take all that stuff into consideration when you're world schooling, and you still have to run your business just to make sure you got the funds that's consistent. You make sure everything can work around your schedule as well. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that was good. Very good. Thanks, Hicunni. So, girlfriends, this has been great, great, great. If you consider world schooling, these are some great insights that Hicunni is sharing. And if you have more questions that you would like to ask Hicunni, her information will be tagged into the notes there, so that you can reach out to her, email address and all that. So I'm sure there's a lot of questions you may have in regards to homeschooling in this other country that I didn't hit today. But at this point in the show, I want you all to go ahead and hit the share button, get this out to everyone else so that they can join in on this watch party, and just hear this insight of what world schooling looks like in Rwanda, Kigali, Rwanda, Africa. Okay. All right. So this part of the show, Hicunni, these are questions, quick questions just to pick your brain. And you can relate some of them, if you like, to your journey now, this time that you have been in Africa, or, in general. Okay. So that's completely up to you. What is something unique that you all do in your homeschooling that's unique to the Chandler family?
Something that's unique to the Chandler family is meditation. We instituted meditation with them. I instituted with them about a year ago, with me about maybe almost 3 years ago. And so that is like number one, before we even break out any books, before we even have breakfast. When you set the alarm to get up, then they know it's time to move into their meditation. I used to sit with them. Now they do their own meditation. And
hopefully she will unlock, because right now she's frozen. Hopefully she's going to unfreeze. Come on, Rwanda internet. Oh, phooey. It has locked up on her. Let's see if we can get her back in any way. All right, she's gone. Oh, phooey. So we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll come back and finish it and then have two parts to this. So you all hang tight. Thank you so much for joining in with Girlfriends Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry. Maybe she will be able to log back in. Let's see if that happens for her. I give her a few moments. So, world schooling is so glamorous, and so many people are wanting to do this and experience that. And I think the biggest takeaway that I think we all should have in this idea of world schooling is that, yeah, it takes money. And yeah, you got to plan very well in how you. Hey girl, you just locked up. It just locked up. So I'm glad you came back on. Yeah, it just totally,
I was like,
it just locked up. But
you froze. I was like, Angela?
yeah, you froze, and I was here just talking. It kept going. So anyway, so I was just telling the girlfriends my takeaway so far, and then I'll let you finish up. Is that, yeah, you got to have planning, and yes, you got to have some money. How are you going to keep having that inflow of money? So be thinking about those things too. There's, I'm sure, a plethora of resources out there where you can be being paid abroad, and you can work from your computer. So just do your due diligence to educate yourself and get informed on that, and you can make, I'm sure, world schooling on a longer scale than just a short-term thing too. So you were telling us the meditation that you used to sit with your kids in meditation, then now they're on their own and they do that. So I'll let you continue that part of your question.
Yeah, so it used to be, I used to sit with them when we first started, but now they do their own meditation. And then I'll occasionally ask them different things like, what did you get out of the meditation? Did you see different things throughout the meditation? So I highly recommend, if you guys have never been involved in meditation, to add that. It helps a lot tremendously, not only for homeschooling, but for your overall lifestyle. Yeah. So that is key. I think that's what sets us apart as far as the Chandlers. That's the meat and the root of our journey overall. So
how long do you all how long do you have them meditate? Is a certain time that you set for them, or they just, when they're done, they're done?
I tell them about 15 minutes. So they have about 15 minutes. I mean, I don't go in there and say, hey, that's enough.
Okay.
But I let them keep up with their own time. They have let me show. Let's see, it's not a timer on there, but just so they can flow throughout their day. Say if they've been sitting there and they come out of their meditation, they want to know what time it is. That's a clock app. You you could set it, but they don't. But so just so they'll know like how long they've been actually in their meditation. But I don't have them set an alarm. So they've gotten in the habit. So about around 15-minute time, they're coming out of their meditation. So usually about 20 minutes, they'll be coming into the kitchen, whatever. So, but yeah, once you make it a habit and then you set aside however, whether it's 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even 5 minutes, your body gets used to that routine. And they do it twice a day. So that's, yeah.
Neato. What are some resources or curriculum that you feel every family should have, or maybe some things that you have learned and implement since you've been in Rwanda?
Yes. So African history, if you are of the diaspora, add that into your homeschool. You still could teach them, U.S. history. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you want for your children. But I highly recommend adding some African history. With Rwanda, I've made it a project. So I gave them a list of things that I want them to research. And they were responsible for finding that information, whether it's around the town or if they want to Google it. But they were responsible for finding it and finding the actual resource where they got the information from. So they not only had to find let's see, one question was, okay, what's the capital of Rwanda? I mean, they knew it was Kigali, or where is so-and-so located, or how much is $5 to $5 to a Rwandan franc. So they had to calculate stuff like that. And so they had to attach where they got the information from. And so that is a great resource. Just making sure you add that African history, whether or not you use a curriculum or just pick a actual country and then start from there. Another resource that I use as far as with African history is a guy I started following years ago. It's the Real Merkaba, and I'll give you a warning. If you are religious, he is not religious. So you may not want to tune in unless you are coming out and you want another perspective. Then I would highly recommend great resources on the origins of the Bible, the Quran, and other resources that people use.
Beautiful, beautiful. What is the best piece of advice that you have received that has kept you on kept you on track on your homeschooling journey, as a whole or in general as you have been in Rwanda?
Okay, well, one thing, I'm going to toot your horn, Angela, uh, that I actually tuned into your mastermind last week, and it was a good reminder, even though this is our 9th year, and you guys that are veteran homeschoolers, you still have lots to learn. You never get too old in homeschooling not to be able to learn something. But as a reminder that we don't have to do it all like that day. And that's one thing that continues to free me. And that's a great reminder that, we could do science one semester and do social studies the next semester, or do all your literature in the summer. And I was like, yes, I like that. It freed me last week. I was like,
wow,
yay.
beautiful.
So, I started tweaking our schedule for when are you still there? Okay. I thought the internet was cutting out. So I started tweaking our schedule for when we get back. So I want to keep it as simple as possible. So that was a great reminder for me. And being in Rwanda, just enjoying the journey. That's like good advice. Just enjoy the journey. I mean, it's people that they go throughout their day. They're loving on each other. They're getting things done. But you see, like down the street, they're building some type of building. And the guys are singing. They're singing while they're building. It's like, who does that? So it's just, you got a job to do, but enjoy it. Embrace every minute of your time. And just don't get caught up in the busyness, but take time to laugh, take time to just be.
Yeah.
So those are some great things, great takeaways. And yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Hicunni, we are on the last question, the $1 million question. Are you ready, girl?
Yeah. I'm ready.
All right, so this is going to be a little bit different because I know that next week you all will be heading back to the U.S. So here's the question. With all the knowledge and skills and insights and experiences that you have had in this time in Rwanda, if you had to go back to day one and start all over again with homeschooling and getting acclimated and everything, what would be the thing that you would definitely do, or change, or implement starting all over again this time around?
It's a good question. I would let my kids be. I tried to force a lot early on when we started homeschooling. Like, we got to do this curriculum. We got to do it for this amount of hours. Like, if I had to start over, I would just let them be, because the kid, they'll learn, of course you want to have something, some type of structure. Even unschoolers have some type of little structure. But I would actually just get out and just explore, incorporate more local events into our schedule, more local historical. There's a lot of historical monuments and markers. I would incorporate more of that stuff into our homeschool as well. So I would just do more things outside of the house instead of, because early on we did everything in the house, but then we had play dates. But instead of just having the play dates, I would have actually did some more explorative curriculums, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, that's beautiful. Well said. Thank you, Hicunni. So Hicunni, any last words of advice you want to give to the ladies, or, as well, please tell us more about the nutrition formula and how moms or dads can get in contact with you to learn more about what you're doing and what you have to offer them.
Yes. So, of course, I am a mind-body eating coach. And so I help women transform their beliefs about food and body. So my entire coaching practice is the nutrition formula. That's just something that keeps me in the mindset and knowing that nutrition is more than what we eat and the weight that we carry. But lately, since this last year, I have been on a journey of just more tapping into more of my higher self and being who I was created to be. I am taking a few women through this journey. It's called Self-Care Mystics, and it's only for a few women, and it's a community, a collection of women where they can learn how to tap into more of who they are as people, learning more of how their energy works, learn more of their chakras, how to meditate, and also just stepping out of the box that's been crafted for them and the stigma that's been on them. And so that is what I'm doing, because that's me. That's my chronicle as a foodie. And so I want every woman that I come in contact with to be free and be free to be who they are. And so you can find me on my website. It's HicunniChandler.com. If you're worried about spelling that, Angela can drop the links. If you want to find more about my blog and get on my mailing list, it's afoodiechronicle.com, and it'll take you straight to a panel where you can get on my mailing list as well.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Girlfriends, listen, you are the average sum of the 5 people you hang out with. In this hour, you've been hanging out with Hicunni Chandler over in Kigali, Rwanda, Africa. So listen, keep up the momentum and continue to connect with other positive resources who's going to bring life and freedom and encouragement to you and to your soul. And then you be sure to be that encouragement that someone else can draw from, that positivity that they can draw from. So Hicunni, thank you so much for taking out your time from your life in Rwanda. I'm stealing some of that time you can have and being embracing the culture. But thank you so much. Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling appreciates you, and I'm grateful to you for sharing of your time, your resources, and your insights as you are world schooling, you and your family there in Rwanda. So thank you. As always, girl, I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So girlfriends, just remember that to teach a child is to touch a life. And as we homeschool here or abroad, we not only touch a life, we shape the future through our efforts of homeschooling. So keep making a positive impact day after day, year after year, okay? And all like Hicunni is doing, this experience and more experiences to come for her children, for herself too, but her homeschooling journey for her kids is shaping their lives. And that's exciting, because you don't even know, we have no clue how that's going to unfold. This experience is going to affect their lives in the future, and then children, Hicunni's progeny, and the dynasty of the Chandler family onward, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. What a great experience. And I'm happy for you that you got the experience, and I look forward to hearing all your other journeys coming up, girl.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to, hopefully next week. We'll see if it happens next week when you get back, or you'll be jet lagged, but I can't wait to get back with you and just touch you. Get some of that you got from over in Rwanda. All right, girlfriends. All right. So share. Thanks for joining in. You can do it. Here's an example and insights to follow, so you can do it. I look forward to hearing from you, and all the detailed information about Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling, all the detailed information about Hicunni and the other resources you can connect with and to will be in the show notes. Take care. Until next time. Peace, everyone.